This is a June 3rd, 2020 special meeting of the Dayton Town Council, and I'm the council president, Ron Kohler. We are holding this meeting by phone because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the stay-at-home order. And at this meeting, we will be discussing setting parameters and rules for current and future road projects. Present on the phone are our attorney, Reed Murtaugh, our clerk treasurer, Michelle Freeward, our town manager, Mark Harlow, and members of the town council who will now identify themselves by roll call. Jen Menango.
Here.
Stan Kiger.
Here.
Ashley Stevenson.
Here.
And I'm Ron Kohler, so all four council members are present. I called this meeting, there's going to be a couple minutes here and then it'll go fast. I called this meeting because as the road work has been done on Harrison Street, I've had a rash of comments from residents about the sheer scope of the work on that street and who benefits from it. The asset management survey we had done last year that rated all the streets in town shows 19 sections of roads in as bad or worse condition than Harrison, and even more as bad or worse than Pennsylvania. None of the 19 are on Harrison or Pennsylvania. So the first thing I'd like to do is make a rule that we do road improvements based on the ratings so the worst roads get attention first. This will remove anyone's ability to do favors for friends, future favors for friends, or roads that council people own property on will be done first. Of the 5 houses on Harrison, 3 are owned by the old council members. Next, I want to make it clear that the new members of the council only voted to approve the bids and to proceed with the projects approved and submitted for the community crossroads grants by the old council. Only Ashley and I would have been involved in the original proposals, and we all know I didn't have any say on anything. I feel no obligation to carry on the actions of the previous council, and I, for one, won't be bullied by those who are spreading things saying that we are making people pay for the road along their property. People need to get their facts straight. The parking places were stated to be no parking until the owners were offered it at taxpayers' expense by their councilmen friends. When you have friends on the council, you can get things like that done. But no more. We are elected to be prudent with the taxpayer monies, and we intend to stand by that. So now we have more than double the estimate bid for the work on Harrison and Pennsylvania without realizing that these short streets were getting the Cadillac of road work unlike anything in any other part of town. None of us had any way of knowing that this would be any different than what has been done at other places. We're paving an area along a business that was approved with the owner's stipulation there would be no parking along Harrison, while the houses along that same street and other businesses and houses in town which have on-street parking are left in the cold. So this is a matter we need to talk about. Before we talk specifically about Harrison Street, let's talk about a policy in general. If a business or resident has on-street parking and we are doing a road project, do we offer paving for that? Do we offer it for residents or just for businesses? Or do we not offer it at all or do it at all? I would like to open it up for council comments. Stan, you want to start this?
Well, we need a policy right now, or a hold needs to be put on everything. I think if we do it for one, we should do it for everyone. We could also consider having the property owner pay the town share. We need a policy in place so this gifting of favors, like letting taxpayer foot the bill to pay parking spaces for someone's political crony, stops. We need a policy so someone's political foes can actually get their roads done. That's about all I have to say right now.
Jen, would you like to say something?
I just think that a policy needs to be set that we offer everyone paving for their on-street parking whenever we do a road improvement.
Okay, Ashley, do you want to say anything before maybe somebody would make a motion or something?
Well, you know, where to start on this, really, you know. First off, the no parking at the Red Bird along that side of the building is a myth. There never has been a no parking area assigned to that. The no parking subject came up when originally when the Red Bird was first talking about redoing that building. They wanted diagonal parking, and that town council at that time said no to diagonal parking. They did allow parallel parking, which is currently being exercised along that area of Harrison Street. You know, there are areas that are in worse shape than Harrison Street on the paving. You know, those rated 5 or less. Some of those areas, you know, you would not repave because they only maybe have 6 cars a day go down them. So, you know, those may be streets that you continue to put Band-Aids on to maintain them at a 4 or 3 or something along those lines. You know, yes, as a town council member, myself and my wife own 2 properties on Harrison Street. You know, there are other private property owners on Harrison Street, just the same as there is on every street in this town that's been paved. And Ron Kohler, I think you'll recognize the fact that your brother owns quite a few rental properties here in town, 11 or so, and of those, probably 9 of them are on streets that have been freshly repaved. You know, as far as doing favors for friends and stuff, you know, you can't be on town council and be in charge of streets.
I don't be also having trouble with Is it possible your computer that's logged in and on your phone?
Jen, you're garbled up. I'm not getting what you're saying. Do I have a
Sorry,
problem?
you're all garbled too. Thought maybe you were close to your computer that's logged on.
I could hear Ashley good, but Jen's garbled.
You can't trust me. Okay, let me.
Yeah. Yes, just
Ron, I
Jen.
can hear. Yeah, Ron, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, and I can hear you fine.
Okay. Well, I'll
Go ahead
continue
and
on.
finish up, Ashley. Yeah.
As a town board member, and especially a town board member that's in charge of streets, you know, there's always conspiracies. You know, how many times have I been joked about, you know, getting free blacktop from my driveway because I'm standing out there by a Reith Riley truck or another vendor paving Conjunction Street or Main Street or something like that. You know, it's simply not true. Every town council member lives in this town, so every town council member eventually would be affected by some type of work done in his or her neighborhood. You know, on this current project that we're doing, not only are we doing Harrison Street, but we are also doing Dayton Road South. And you're probably aware that Kohler Marsh family has a nursery on Dayton Road South, and they own quite a bit of property on Dayton Road South. We're also doing Shady Lane, and as you also know, that Kohler Marsh have property on Shady Lane, along with Stan. So, you know, doing favors for friends is totally ridiculous. If that's the case tonight, I would think that I'd have many, many friends here in town that over the years I've, you know, received the benefit of freshly paved streets in front of their house. You know, that's really it in a nutshell. I'm not necessarily here to argue, but you know, the lies that I'm hearing at the initial reading is just you know, beyond comprehension, and things are really being taken out of context. Go ahead, Mr. President.
Okay. Thanks, Ashley. That was a good spiel there. To clarify things, you know, what my brother owns in town, he's never asked for any things or paving or anything like that. You know, you guys have done streets outside that. As far as Dayton Road South
Nobody on Harrison Street.
Excuse me, Ashley, let me finish up. As far as Dayton Road South goes, I've never asked for a sidewalk. I've never asked for 1 square inch of paving. In Shady Lane I didn't want the trees cut. I put gravel in there to appease you guys from, as you know, from trying to put roads through my fields. Otherwise, everybody in Shady Lane, 100% of us wanted that road left alone, but it's going to be repaved one little section between the two curves, and hopefully that will satisfy the old board and it'll satisfy the new. So
There's quite a few spots on Shetty Lane are currently, rated in that 4 and 5 area. And so I would suspect that those will be repaved during this current council's term.
Yeah, good. We need to do the worst ones first, and that's our goal here. So anyway, I sort of suggested Dayton Road be waited till all those cement trucks and all that building is done down there, but it might go too far and cause more damage. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Anybody else?
I would hope on future projects that we do more than just maintain a road. I would hope that we would take necessary steps to raise the bar a little bit and bring these roads and areas up to some type of a current standard. And that would be things like doing driveway approaches, doing sidewalks, doing stormwater drainage, maybe doing curb and guttering, and some things like that.
Yes.
To signal out 2 areas. You didn't say a word about Pennsylvania. To point out, 1 of 2 areas, I think is unjust.
Well, I did point out that Pennsylvania, there's actually more roads that need to be done than even Pennsylvania. But okay,
but we have a limited supply of money. We've done 4 miles of road in this town out of the 8 miles. Now you stop and think about it, the Deerfield neighborhood. They're in those miles that haven't been done. They won't need to be done for probably another 10 plus years, 15 years. So we're down to areas that need to be done in the mileage range of another 1.5 miles of road. We'll have those low numbers taken care of, the 3s and 4s on that Pfizer rating. But that last 1.5 miles of roads that need to be done in this town are going to be expensive projects because they also need to have stormwater drainage and sidewalks, and some of the areas will have to have wedging done on them, which is expensive to do. We've included some of those areas on Dayton Road, Shady Lane, and some other ones in this current project. But
okay. Well, hopefully we can spread out the money enough to at least get everybody one sidewalk in the future if we start running out of money, instead of 2 on some streets and none on the others. But I think we've done a pretty good job in getting a lot of things taken care of. So let's go ahead.
I will remind this board that Harrison Street is the 2nd busiest street in Dayton. That section in between Main and 38 is the 2nd busiest street in Dayton. Dayton Road obviously is the busiest. So, I think doing sidewalks to both sides is perfectly appropriate. This asphalt work, paving in a business area, the right of way is perfectly appropriate.
Okay. Thank you, Ashley. Also, I've got pictures, and I showed you up there the other day that Harrison Street might be a busy street, but Dayton Road's got 1,000 times more cracks. Market Street that goes directly to the school plus college is terrible shape, and it's got 1 million cracks.
We're working on that on this current bid.
Hang on, Ashley, and 1 million cracks that are sealed. And you and I had to walk the entire distance of Harrison with you. Couldn't even find a crack in there until we got up to Harrison and Main and where the potholes are. Everybody look at Harrison, look at it close, and look and see how many cracks are in that street before they tear it up. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Wait till after it rains when the cracks really show up.
Yeah, Jen, go ahead.
I apologize if Ashley already cleared up some of these things. I had to call back in because it was only garbled on my end, but I had numerous messages and phone calls today about some claims that are being made, and I just wanted to make sure they got cleared up for everyone that might be listening now or might listen to this later. People were questioning me why the town council would be having a business pay 25% of the cost to pave a street. And I just want to be clear that it was over parking spaces and not a street. And the 25% number came up because the grant we were awarded should have been split 75-25. And so when we started questioning how it came about that taxpayers are paying for parking, it was suggested by a separate individual that we offer the business to allow the business to pay that 25% portion that the town's responsible for. And we didn't run out of grant money, and this has nothing to do with poor budgeting, and we never planned on paving it and then forcing a business to pay for the paving. Those were just some of the common questions that seem to come up over and over today. So I just wanted to clear it up, I guess.
Okay, thank you, Jen.
Yes, along those lines, this current town board that's on this phone call approved this project twice as it was originally proposed. And then, here at the 11th hour, we're having this discussion and all this hubbub about, going to a business and asking them to, pay the 25%. Everybody on this phone call has approved this twice, and it was approved to 5-0 vote both times.
Actually, we approved a bid amount, a dollar amount to do it. We didn't go in there. I've asked many times about that side part, and everything was never answered. It's hard to get answers. Maybe we were negligent in that we should have whipped open all those plans and looked at every minute detail. Never in our wildest dreams did we think some of this stuff, the off-street parking and stuff, would be done. But that's some want it done and some don't want it done. It's not. We're all for Redboard, and we're all for.
I stick for you and Stan reviewing those plans with Mark Harlow in the back office. And I don't know how many times you reviewed them, but you reviewed at least once when I was in the building.
Well, there's a lot of sheets of plans. You don't look at it. You don't. It's like.
Well, sure there is.
Actually,
you're doing $168,000 worth of work on 6 or 7 different roads. Yeah, well, there was a lot of information.
Yeah, actually, it's like 38, where in front of Mike Harris's house, it goes down to a narrow part and then widens up through town. The whole board missed that years ago because it's almost impossible, unless you're the guy on it, to look at every little thing. I was under the standing that was not going to be paved, and maybe I should have not had that misunderstanding. Maybe I should have researched it more myself. We finally did, and we found out some things. So anyway, let's move on. We've all knocked each other now. So okay, Jen, Stan.
My thought is that the town council should not adopt a general rule or policy regarding paving of right-of-way at this meeting. It's my understanding that the reason to call this meeting was because there might need to be a change order for the Harrison Street project, and instead of having that done outside of a public meeting, we needed to have this meeting so that there could be a full discussion of the town council members, so we're in compliance with the open door law. But to have some kind of a rule or policy that applies to projects going forward, I really don't think is the best to pass at this meeting. I mean, it's fine to have the discussion that you've had, but I think that you would want to have more input from town engineer and the full ability of the public to participate. That we don't have, unfortunately, for this limited virtual meeting. So, Ron, what motion or action are you wanting to take on that?
Well, I sort of wanted to have a general policy that leads us to move on forward with an idea in mind what we want to accomplish, and get that set that we're all sort of in a general agreement with it, so that we can maybe compromise and let the past stuff go on and and solve a problem here. Otherwise, it might be that we need to have a change of order and just stop everything and have these discussions you're talking about. I would rather sort of move on and try to like I say, somebody make a motion for some kind of a path for in the future. So what's
But we
anybody?
don't have anything that's like written up that you guys, have in front of you that we can adopt as far as, what the policy is or exactly
Well,
what
can anybody make a
you're trying
motion?
to. You can make a motion, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm asking if anybody, let's first see if anybody's got a motion. I heard that some people are going to try to solve this and have a motion, so.
Yeah, this is Stan. I make a motion that we use the, street ratings for the future. And in the future, we go to the residents and find out if they want to spend tax money paving parking places, or we just let it go.
Yeah, for
Yes.
that, I don't think you need a motion. If you're saying you want to, keep this open and get input before things are approved, my understanding is that there's nothing already in process that will not go in front of the town council other than what we were talking about with the community crossing grant that has already been approved. So, I think that's great that you guys, want to do that. And, the town council has that ability going forward
Reed,
to make those decisions.
Can we have a motion that we've reached a general understanding that we'll use that the rating system as a general guideline and try to do the worst ones first. If we have that general agreement, then we can we can go into more detail later and everything, and therefore start from here and let the old stuff pass and get completed. Is that possible to state a motion of what the board would like? So everybody has that understanding. So, a general motion that we've reached a general agreement that the board in the future will try to use the rating system of our roads and get the ones that need it the most, the lower ratings, before doing the higher rated stuff that doesn't need it for several years. Simple as that. Just a simple motion of intent.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. That's fine to document that and have that. You just need to know that doesn't really have any, binding effect in the future or limit the future town council in any way. I mean, if you're making it a general motion to, consider that, it's,
well, and then we need
to leave it open for the town council to do whatever they want. That's all I'm saying. And it's fine to go ahead and, have that motion. It's just kind of a advisory, motion that doesn't have much legal effect.
Okay, well, it's the start of something of a dialogue and you looking in and getting us a formal motion to do what we want to. We don't want to be left where we're in this situation that anybody can come in. We have to have a guidance. We talked to a lot of other towns and people. Our own town manager, feels we all should use the rating we got, unless it's some emergency thing, and push on that. So in the future, this board, a future board, nobody can pick and choose different streets at their will. There's got to be some kind of system to do that, and that's what we're looking for. And we can talk about that in the future, but we just sort of wanted to keep it simple and make a general motion to that fact, So
yeah, because legally you're kind of talking about taking away some powers of the board, taking away discretion of the council, and tying them to a requirement. And so if we're going to do that, I don't think that we can do that at this time, I mean, but if that is something that you want to do, I can look into that and, we could draft something. But generally, the town council retains that discretion and, approves things or denies things. But
well, because it wasn't.
Hey,
go ahead.
Hey, Ron, this is Mark.
Yeah.
In what you're discussing, I think that not only concerning what projects are submitted using the PASER rating, but also, and we've discussed this before, we need to set up a policy for that, plus a policy for sidewalks and just different things. And I think you're on the right track. We need to a written policy so that it gives more direction and it's not so very, I think you're right. We do need a policy guide, not only this council, but future councils, give them better direction on what they use to make these decisions.
Right. Where sidewalks go and when you start them and when you
Yeah,
replace them.
and we even talk about, were we going to have a cost share program for sidewalks and all that? That's work that we need to move forward on.
Okay. Well, Ashley, Stan, or Jen, do you have any comments on this? That as long as we got an agreement that we're going to aim for that and have Reed and Mark and us work on that to come up with some kind of a plan and a goal that when people ask, they got an idea roughly when they might get their street done or sidewalk done. It's been around for 30 years. Nobody knows the sidewalk plans in this town unless we use the community grant stuff and do a whole road with it. So it's all tied together on sort of a goal. So if we can.
Yeah, I mean, what Mark is describing, I'm following much better. You can have a motion tonight to study this and to, approve, the working on a plan or policy regarding this. I think that would make that would be a better motion.
Okay, well then I make a motion that we start this, to work on a plan for our streets and sidewalks and have a goal in mind that between a rating and the town council and everything, we can look up and sort of give people information on what's next. And so there's no personal feelings like this debacle happened, like all of us were at fault. But we don't do that. We go along and try to fix up the town and do what we can for businesses and residents, but not just one or the other, for everybody. So the intent there is what I'm making the motion for, I guess.
I second that. And I think we ought to, employ some professional people to come out and tell us, what would be the best path to take.
Yes. Okay. We got a motion in a second, and I guess we should at some time open it up if anybody wants to have any more thoughts or letters or anything. Otherwise, if we pass it, then we leave it at that and Redbird gets their paving done and we can all walk away. So
Is the Redbird paving part of your motion? Is that what you're saying?
no, we don't need that because it's already, we're not taking away anything. We're not putting a work order change. We're just letting it there. So Redbird, we commit, we're following what the old board did and following through with that so that we can stop all of this arguing, I guess. So that way, no, they get there. We go ahead with the original plan and they get it done. And the town pays the 25% and the government, or the state pays the rest, the community thing. So we tried to come up with something that everybody could. We just want to have a goal in mind in the future. So. And we want to let people in on that. Okay, second. We got a motion and a second. Stan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Stan or Ashley, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ron, how do you vote? I vote yes. So that passes 4-1. I think that's all we need to do. So do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Ron, do you mean 4-0?
Wait a second. Hang on just a second. Well, go ahead, Michelle.
Do you mean 4-0? Because there's only 4 board members and you all vote.
Yeah, 4-0. And does anybody want to make any public comments or letters, Ashley, that you want to read?
Yes, I do. Do I have the floor?
Yeah, yes.
I have a town resident here with me, and she would like to read a statement.
This is LaDonna Snyder, and I have a letter here that's been signed by 28 members of the town. They're all residents. And the letter reads, to the Dayton Town Council with regard to the paving of Harrison Street. I am opposed to charging Latricia Brown and Redbird Cafe for the paving of the parking area along Harrison Street for the following reasons. Number one, the area in question is in the town's right-of-way and does not belong to the Browns or the Redbird Cafe. As such, the parking area may be used by any resident of the town, and therefore it benefits everyone who lives in the town. Number two, the Redbird Cafe has their own exclusive parking area, which is on their property, and the Redbird Cafe paid for the paving of that lot. The extra parking is not needed for their business to meet zoning requirements, and so the paving is not necessary to the business. Number three, the town has voted twice, the latest vote being made in February by this council, that the town would pave the area and that the town would pay for it. Number four, the Redbird Cafe did not request that the area be paved, and they are happy to keep it as gravel, like most street side parking in Dayton. Number five, what business would want to set up shop in Dayton if they have no idea if and when the town might decide to make improvements to the town's property and then charge the business for those improvements? Number six, this is what our tax money is supposed to be used for, improving the infrastructure of the town that will benefit all the residents of the town. What the town is planning to do is no different than if I decided to build a fence on my property and then charge my neighbor for the part that is along his property line, because I think that will benefit him somehow. This is the proverbial slippery slope. If this is allowed to happen, what would prevent the council from paving the parking spaces in front of every house in Dayton and then charging each homeowner $900? If the only answer to this is trust us because we're only doing this to businesses, I don't think so. If they can do this to businesses, there is nothing to prevent them from doing it to each and every one of us. They would just have to take a vote in a meeting that no one is allowed to attend and no residents are allowed to comment, and then you'll receive your own bill for $900. As official correspondence to the Dayton Town Council, I respectfully request that this letter be posted to the town's official Facebook page, website, and any other public electronic sites maintained by the town of Dayton. And this has been signed by 28 members or 28 residents. Would you like me to read off all the names?
That's okay.
I will have Ashley email a copy of this to everyone so all of you can see who all signed the letter.
Thank you.
That's all.
LaDonna. Okay, I want to respond to that. First of all, we have citizen participation because one of them was just talking. Second of all, this right-of-way stuff, we all have sidewalks in front of our houses and we have right-of-ways for parking and stuff. That it's your property. It's a town right-of-way for utility services to be put in. The town does not mow your grass in that. The town does not shovel your sidewalk. The town does not, at this point, replace broken or cracked sidewalks. So everybody's property, every property in the world has a right-of-way generally along the front of it for utilities. What we're talking about at Redbird is we're doing the street, we're paying 100% of the street, but when it comes up to the edge of their property, which part of their property is also in the right-of-way, it's a right-of-way for the town for utilities, but it's still their property. So otherwise, we couldn't just come and set a truck there forever and hinder their business, or somebody else come and set a teepee up or a camper in that thing. It's still their property, but they have to follow the town rules. Any person does on taking care of it. So what we're trying to do is have it so that everybody gets a fair shake and we pave streets, we do sidewalks, but we'll have to decide in the future when it comes to the right of way on parking, because there's a lot of businesses that have right of ways now on Market Street and stuff that have quite a few parking places. Do we also pave all them for them and everything? And if the Redbird, Stan and I talked to Trish, I think Jen's talked to Trish, and we offered everything from gravel to putting it in to GoFundMe things and everything. And Trish kept saying she wanted that paving and not the, and I think Mark a long time ago said you guys are going to pave it, but nothing was said about if you guys so are you saying now you want to leave gravel there? We can just leave the gravel if that's what you want. Is that what you're saying, LaDonna? Is that what Trish wants, just to leave the gravel?
I don't know. You would have to ask Trish
Well,
that, but
you just said, why
but
don't you repeat what you said about the gravel?
well, let me clear something up. You are confused about the difference between an easement and a right-of-way. A right-of-way is owned by the town of Dayton. An easement is a utility easement that belongs to the landowner, but it allows the utility company to have egress onto your property to maintain your utility lines. Right-of-way, though, belongs to the town of Dayton, and there are deeds that say that where the property lines are, and that is the town's right-of-way, and it belongs to the town. It's just the same as my lot that my house sits on belongs to me.
Okay.
Those right-of-ways belong to the town of Dayton.
Okay, you might be right. I would have to check into that. I think
Yeah,
I disagree.
I can just speak to that. So
Yeah.
I think that an issue with all of this is there are different ways that right-of-ways can be taken. So it can be taken by a right-of-way agreement where that area is still owned by the property owner, and it can also be taken by deed in fee simple, which would mean that it's not owned by the property owner and all of the area is owned by the town of Dayton. So,
Okay.
Those two are both possible, and it depends on what piece of property you're looking at. It really doesn't make a lot of difference because, both of those are the same result. I mean, it's an area of right-of-way that, only the town can improve, and, there's even the owner of it can't do anything in that area without a permit or permission of the town. But I think that that's, another reason why we need to get the engineers and some, professionals involved in a larger discussion of what we're wanting to do as the town.
Yeah. Our goal is just to treat everybody the same. So whether they got an easement or right of way, given land, whatever you want to call it, they all have an opportunity to get a sidewalk. They all have an opportunity to have their off-street parking paved if we can do it sensibly. But LaDonna, you never answered my question. In there you said, did I hear you right, that you said Redbird would be happy with gravel being left in there? That's what it sounded like you said.
Ron, you can't engage in that. Like, Redbird is represented potentially by an attorney. They wrote a letter. They're not able to speak or, have representatives at this meeting.
She's representing them. It sounds like you can't then sit there and say some of this stuff, So anyway,
we allowed her to send a letter. I don't think that, it's fair to get.
All right, Jen.
Hey, what Redbird's position is without Redbird being here? Like, you guys were going to allow it to be paved. So can we just move forward with that?
Yeah.
Can I make another comment about the fact that I am here speaking? This is not something that's offered to anyone, just everybody in Dayton. The only reason that I'm allowed to speak here is because Ashley asked me to come over here and read this letter. The vast majority of people in Dayton have no way to speak at the meetings the way they are right now.
We agree, and we're working.
Yes, we understand that.
Yeah, we're trying hard to get that.
So Ron, this is Mark.
Yeah.
So Ron, this is Mark. So just so I understand clearly, because I need to get with the contractor, Reith Riley, we are going to proceed with the milling and paving of Harrison Street as well as the paving of the parking area up to the Redbird.
That's what it sounds like, yes.
Okay, I just want to make, I just want to make sure I understand it. And if that's the case, I want to say to all the town board members, thank you. I'm grateful that you've come to this decision. I'm also grateful that you see that there is a need for more clear-cut policy, whether it's regarding paving or sidewalks, whatever it may be, because that's the next step that we need to take. So thank you very much.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks, Mark. Good comments. Anybody else have anything to say? Okay.
This
go.
is Jen. Real quick, I just wanted to say, I don't know, like, if I should be responding to that letter or whatever, but in that letter, it talked a lot about how could we pave something and then demand a business to pay for it, and we could pave in front of a residence and demand they pay for it. And I just want to point out again that that was never the plan. That was never anybody's, like, in anybody's, I don't know, like, nobody ever presented that. Nobody ever said, well, we're going to pave this and we are going to make the business owner pay for it. And again, nobody can speak for Trish. She isn't here, but I did talk to her a couple times today, and I think she will be pleased that it's getting paved. That was her I don't know, like, ideal thing to happen. So I
Okay.
think she'll be
Right. Agreed.
Good. Thanks, Jen. Thanks.
I would like to point out that Trish was asked by a town employee, and she was also asked by a town board member to pay the 25% of the asphalt for that on street. That's all.
Well, I don't think so, but anybody else got any comments? Is everybody there?
Yeah. I make a motion to adjourn.
Need a motion adjourned. Got a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to adjourn. Everybody in favor, Stan, yes or
Yes.
no? Jen, yes or no?
Yes.
Ashley, yes or no?
Yes.
Ron, yeah. So meeting adjourned. Thank everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.